Hi, everyone. Wanted to do this short recording just to provide a summary of my thoughts based on the first discussion board, which was focused on bring your own devices. Now, I think all of you know that the theme of the week was actually on security, confidentiality, privacy, and the bring your own device small little segment of that was just a small piece of it, but I think the timing of it is actually really important. So feel free right now to look at everyone's posts on the discussion board. You can, by the way, I divided you up into two groups just for ease of it because there's 34 of you. And to actually have 34 on one discussion board is too much. So we'll do the same thing with the second discussion board, 17 and 17. But just as an aside, so 2/3 of you were really not familiar with bring your own device, or your organization, or perhaps your own providers, dentists, doctors didn't really have a bring your own device system that at least you knew about. And about a third of you was yes. Um, Interestingly, most of those are cell phones for the yes category. How that works, they're entrenched in our lives. Everything that we have, from our financial information to family schedules, are on the phone. So translating that to a work environment where work stuff makes sense, especially with apps or especially with calendars, that does make sense. But of course, all of you did bring up correctly the theme of the week, which was, there's a lot of security, confidentiality issues, hacking, leaking as well. But it brings about, from a positive perspective, access issues. It's just easier to access, easier perhaps for an IT department. Now, bring your own device environment tends to work a little bit better in um, in other places. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause the recording and restart again. So certainly, I think I left off that access. Access to technology really is, especially one's personal technology, is just so much easier because it's such a big part of our lives. Now, all of this really, we didn't anticipate, how the COVID pandemic would change necessarily the fabric of work life. Maybe not so much for direct care clinicians. Well, actually, I don't want to say that because it overwhelmingly changed work life for direct care clinicians. But as we think about this BYOD framework, especially with the idea for many non-healthcare positions from a remote work perspective. And I'm not talking necessarily about the sort of immediacy of a March 2020 timeframe or the months that followed, but even where we are right now, that there are some of you who've indicated in the discussion board that there is remote work opportunities for you. And you obviously know other individuals that you're related to or friends with who are, let's say, are not in healthcare, who have, for different reasons, embraced that, or perhaps their positions don't, for whatever reason. But it really has then sort of changed the fabric about a BYOD culture, and sort of the security and the confidentiality, the access to information as well. So we're not obviously talking about a BYOD culture where an individual would bring their cell phone or their iPad to a work environment, but would be in an offsite location, whether it be a home area or another place as well. It's just really escalated in different ways. And I think we all know that, this remote work opportunities, although I would say certainly certain providers, radiologists in particular, have always been at the forefront of being able to do this, especially in terms of reading films and pathologist slides. And I think a few of you brought that up because you work with them as well. But the out of the clinical environment into perhaps even more of a leadership environment, this really is influencing the culture. So, So I bring this up almost as a conclusion to this. Just my thoughts sort of revolved around how not just the BYD environments currently in your places of employment or your own doctor's office, but what perhaps we can learn. What we can learn. Certainly, there are pluses and minuses, but what we can learn from the pandemic experience and how this fits into perhaps a remote work environment, what it means. Does it mean that as I'm recording this, I have my cell phone right beside me? I can pull up my emails, I can pull up Blackboard, I can pull up all kinds of things. I'm using a work-sponsored iPad to record this, but I'm, doing this in my living room as well. So now there isn't a security. I'm not looking at patient information. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But certainly there's a possibility for many of you. So just my thoughts on that. No need to respond. Just wanted to bring my thoughts. The last thing I'll say is, we have one more discussion board coming up, and the discussion boards in my mind are really a great opportunity to learn. And so I'm going to encourage all of you to, this is why I rarely work from home, because I have two dogs who are barking at me to come inside. Now I totally lost my thought. Oh, yeah, the discussion board. So to engage early and often for the DBs, right? You're just going to learn more. I'm not one to count posts or answers. That really doesn't happen when we're having a casual conversation about this. But if you're able to get on early and learn from each other, then it's going to help tremendously. So just a message for the second discussion board. Okay, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Take care.